right, good afternoon, everybody. Let's get started. Anybody know the sound of this song? Know the name of this song? How do you sound? Absolutely, right now. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Sean Murphy. I'm going to be your host here for the next 50 minutes or so. Today's conversation is all about the magic check. I think I recognize most everybody coming in. Just type in the chat where you're coming in from, what state or possibly what country. I see we've got Serbia on the line. He could be anywhere. Serbia, London. He could be in Macedonia. Good to see here. Good to see everybody. And let's see here. Testing. Is that better on the mic, on the sound? Y'all hear that better? Okay, awesome. We'll turn it up a little bit. The magic check. We've all seen it. If you've been anything in The Secret, if you've seen anything to do with The Secret, you've seen the magic check. You've heard the magic check. How many of you have printed off the magic check? Type a P in the chat. Type a P in the chat if you've printed off the magic check. And so now the question becomes, what happened with that check? Maybe it came true. Maybe you did it. Maybe it popped up and you got all of the income that you wanted. My question to you is, do you use it regularly? Do you use it regularly? Because I can tell you this, we're going to go through some basics. We're going to go through some basics and I'm going to teach you, hopefully I guess I can't teach you, words don't teach. How can I say this? I'm going to give you hopefully enough information on how to use the tool correctly. Could you imagine, right? Could you imagine giving a 3-year-old a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver and saying, go assemble a bicycle? Probably wouldn't be able to do it. Well, listen, do me a favor. Type in the chat. How long ago was it that you wrote out your last check? Some of you, it might have been yesterday, might have been a week ago. Some of us, it might have been a year ago, 2 years ago, a decade ago. I wrote out my first check yesterday in probably 3 years. I wrote out a check yesterday. So do you understand the power of what's inside of this check? That's what we're going to talk about. Those are the conversations we're going to have about the magic check. So what I really want you to pay attention to today, I want to get across is understanding the fundamental power that's actually in a check. And then we're going to translate it into this thing called the magical check. Before we get started, I want everybody to just take a big breath in. I just want you to get centered as you can get. Listen, I know your days are busy. It's the start of the new year. You had the Christmas holidays. You had all of this stuff. I just want you to get as centered as you can right now. Just give me the next 45 minutes. And if you do that, I promise you this. I promise you'll see things in a new way you've never saw them before. You'll hear things in a way you've never heard them before. And you're going to access that deep part of you that can do things you've never done before. So I want you, a friend of mine, Ron White, 2-time U.S. memory champion, not Ron White, the comedian, Ron White, the memory champion. He says a lot of times we'll forget people's names. And the reason we forget people's names is because we don't really have a place. We don't have a spot. We don't have a place on our shelf in our memory to put their name. Does that make sense? So one of the things he says is that as you're walking up to people, it's a little trick. It's a little neuro sleight of hand, if you will, that you can use to access and open up a space in your brain to remember somebody's name. And here's what it is. When you walk up to somebody and you're starting to walk up to them or you're going to get introduced to them, somebody says, hey, listen, I need you to meet somebody. While you're walking over there, Ask this question. What's their name? What's their name? What's their name? What's their name? And Ron says, don't do that out loud. People will think you're nuts. But my point is this. When you do that, the brain shuts off everything else. You're not looking at the buffet or did you have a drink or get a drink or what time are you leaving or there's that other person who's a wonderful person or somebody who's not so wonderful. You're literally focusing on what's their name. And then when you hear their name, the brain goes, oh, that's it. And it literally drops it into that spot. So here's my dialogue I want you to start saying in your head. What's my number? What's on my check? What's my number for my check? What's my number for my check? What's my number for my check? I just want you to start saying that. What's my number for my check? Because you know what the number is. It's your subconscious. See, one of the benefits of having a dialogue with me over anyone else who's ever taught you about the magic check is that I understand neuroencoding. I'm a five-time #1 best-selling author. I'm a neuroencoding trained specialist. That means that when we have thoughts in our brain, they trigger things in our body. Neuroencoding. I'm a self-talk specialist, right? On the Self-Talk Institute. I'm a mental toughness trainer. I'm a life coach, an addiction to approval trainer. All of these things that when we apply them and wrap them in and around the magic check, we're going to have some tremendous success. So I want you to just breathe for a second. I want you to ask, what's my number? What's my number? What's my number? Then I want you to say, without anything else, without thinking of the numbers or doing anything else, I just want you to say, it's true and I deserve it. What's my number? It's true and I deserve it. Say it again. Just say it out loud. Don't have to be loud. We're not going to go, run around the house in a towel. What's my number? It's true and I deserve it. How many of you, your brain's going, what are you talking about? How many of you, your old stories showing up going, this is stupid? Wallace D. Waddell says, it's not about doing certain things, it's about doing things in a certain way. And if I'm showing you, if I'm sharing with you, if I'm teaching you, if I'm awakening you to a new way, you know what? There's a darn good chance this might be the way that it will work for you. Because the old way hasn't worked for you. Hasn't worked for you consistently, hasn't performed to you to the level that you're capable of. So maybe, if you give me the next 45 minutes, I might be able to help you unlock your subconscious so that you can finally have all that you want. What did Zig Ziglar say? Help enough other people get what they want, and you'll have all. Doesn't say some, doesn't say maybe a little bit more than average. It says you can have all that you want. So my goal here is to help you get exactly what you want. Okay, so I'm going to show you a PowerPoint. We're going to flip the screens around here, and we're going to really dive into understanding what, right? I have my checks here. I have my checks here, mine and my bride's, because I'm doing the NES programming with it. And that's, I'll talk to you about that in possibly tomorrow's conversation. This magic check is so powerful. It's so absolutely incredibly strong. We're actually going to spend 4 days on it. Thursday, Friday, today, tomorrow, and next week, Thursday, Friday. Because, well, let me ask you this question. Type it in the chat. Y for yes, N for no. Would you like your magic check to work in this lifetime for you? I promise you, I guarantee that if you use these methodologies, it will work for you 100% of the time. How do I know that? Because I already use it. I've been using it for decades. The movie The Secret made it popular, but I've been writing checks to myself for decades, and it works. So let's go ahead and dive in and really look at the fundamental of why did they say a magic check and just not a magic affirmation? Why do you think, type it in the chat, why do you think they said magic check versus a affirmation or a sticky note or a, I don't know, a video? Why do you think they said they created the magic check? There's a reason why the check is there. Okay, and we're going to dive into that. Yes, visualize, to have something to visualize. But it's also, isn't a check kind of a contract? How many of you, so I'm not going to ask you, so let me rephrase the question. How many of us know someone, listen carefully, I'm going to put a smile on your face. How many of us know somebody who has written a check that was for more than they had in the account? Anybody know that? Anybody know? And you've got, banks actually came up with overdraft protection. Anybody know somebody who's ever written a check that it was more than what was in their bank? Yeah. So let's have a conversation about something here. We're going to go in and again, make sure you're drinking some water. This is important because this is going to, it's going to squirrel your brain a little bit. It's not because you don't know this stuff. It's that it's never really been I've not seen anybody take what I'm about to share you and apply it to the magic check. Does that make sense? So what do I want to do? Okay, I need to share screen over here first. Hang on, here we go. Basics. I want to go here, share that. And now, if somebody could give me a heads up when I hit play from start, do you see the magic check in full screen?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. So who is this for? Let's first start off with who this is for. Hey, everybody, I'm seeing some names. Luis, how are you? Ada and Vicente Martinez. Hola, amigo. That's so cool. Thank you all for showing up. So this is for the entrepreneurs. It's for the entrepreneur, for those who are serious about their personal success. Now, a lot of us we label ourselves as entrepreneurs because we're in the business of helping people. How many of you would say you're in the business of helping people? Drop a P in the chat. Well, the magic check isn't for about other people. This is where we have a disconnect. We so want to help other people that we forget to help who? We forget to help ourselves. So would it be okay? Would it be okay if in the next 40 minutes now, you take this time for you? Drop a Y in the chat if you're willing to take some time for you. And the reason I want you to engage in this is I want you to physically, right? Tony Robbins talks about the way that you build leverage, the way that you change a state of mind is physiology, focus, language, and meaning. And I want you to focus on you for the next 40 minutes. So are you an entrepreneur that's serious? You don't have to respond in the chat anymore here in this thing, unless I ask you to. But for those that are serious about their personal success. And if we continue on, this is for promise keepers. Ugh. Sean's always got to figure out a way to just put that little bit of that little stab in there. Anyone who intends to keep their promise. Again, no need to respond, but write it down in your book. Write it down in your notes. I intend to keep my promise. See, we've got to get a little bit of leverage. When you write the magic check, the psychology that you go through and the psychological angst that happens when you write your check to keep your promises to those you love, it can create some challenges. And I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my stomach. That's neuroencoding. That's old story. That's addiction to approval. That's self-talk. I just want to know if you're somebody who wants to keep their promise. Don't ask, how many of you, and respond on this in the chat. How many of you, when I said, for those who intend to keep their promise, how many of you said, yeah, I've not been good at that. I need to change that. I need to get better at that. I don't keep my promises. You follow me? This is all of our subconscious. When we go to write the magical check, especially for the amount that we truly want and deserve, we're going to be able to keep our promise. So what if you found a way? Hopefully my goal is to show you over the course of the next couple of days how you can keep your promise. It's for the frustrated business owner. If you happen to know anybody that's like that, they take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back year after year after year after year, and they always say next year. How many of you were excited 24 was coming because you knew this is going to be your year, and it's already day 4 and you're already feeling like somebody slammed the door in your hand? This is for those who are the aspiring manifestors. The aspiring manifestors. If you're someone who believes in the power of intention and visualization to create your reality, this challenge is tailor-made for you. Take a big breath and say, thank you. That's me. That's you. You're the aspiring manifestor. This is tailor-made for you. Who this is not for, and if this is you, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and bug out, leave. It's for the skeptics of visualization. I don't think you can really see your dreams. I really don't think you can do that. Hello, Jameson. We're here on the ranch and the puppies are in my office. If you're highly skeptical of manifestation and visualization practices, this challenge might not align with your beliefs. This ain't for you. Get out of the line, right? Go home. Go do something else. Who is this not for? This is not for the immediate results seekers. Not suitable for those who expect instant financial changes without putting in the mental effort and emotional work. It doesn't say go build a business. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Do you see what it says there? I need you to really pay attention there. Some people, probably you, how many of you believe you have you have a tremendous possibility with your income stream, your current income stream? Type a P for possibility. If you have this tremendous possibility with your current income stream, then it is not about the doing. It is about the being, the emotional feeling. I really need this to sink in. I really want it to sink in because it's not about doing more. It's about doing some things differently. What did Wallace D. Waddle said? It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. I promise you, this I know after 40 years of being a human potentialist, meaning I mentally, emotionally, physically, verbally unlock your greatness. So do other people who are people of inspiration. You realize that's what inspiration is. Inspire, to become entheos, enthusiasm, inspiration, to unlock the God within you. Anybody who is inspirational in their motivational speaking, inspirational in their conversation, unlocks the door that you've been afraid to open. What happens when you leave that person's energy field? Sometimes you slam the door closed and put the lock back on. So this didn't say about going to do more work or finding your new business model or finding this new thing. This is about those who are afraid, or the challenge of putting in the mental and the emotional work. It's for the passive participants. If you're not willing to actively engage, if you're not typing the P's or the Y's or the N's, or you're not typing and physically engaging in the chat, you're wasting your time. I know it seems like it's just aggravating. I'm doing something else. There's a clue. If you're doing something else, listening to this, I'd encourage you to stop multitasking and go do the thing you need to do. I understand you might be at work listening to this, but I don't want your work to suffer. This is an all hands on deck, all attention in one place. This is a battle. This is a war for your future. So if you're a passive participant, not willing to actively engage in the daily practices, the self-reflection, this challenge may not be for you, or it may not be effective for you. The narrow realists, if you're solely focused on traditional financial planning without any interest in mental and emotional aspects, this might not be your cup of tea. Here's what I will tell you. In just this first session, you focusing on you getting a little clarity and understanding how the check works, what it works for, I promise you, before the end of the afternoon is out, you're going to have a, oh my God, you won't believe what happened moment. And I'll explain more about that. It's also not for the one-size-fits-all believers. This challenge requires a personal touch, your touch, and introspection. So it's not for those looking for the generic one-size-fits-all solution. So, quick question, type in the chat. Do I have the right group here? Is the right group still here? Type a Y in the chat if you are the right group. If you know I'm the right person, I'm meant to be here. This is for me. I'm going to take full control of this. I'm going to leverage the bejeebies out of Sean, and I'm going to take full advantage of this. So let's take a look at what a check is. We really need to understand what a check is. A check is a written, not a typed, although digital checks are available. How many of you do checks by mail, right? You write, if you put it into your bank and your bank sends out the check. But this, your magical check, is a written. It is a dated check. It is a signed instrument that directs the bank to pay a specific. So could you imagine if you wrote a check? How many of you have ever written a check and left the amount blank? Now, I understand you give it to your kid or somebody. Hey, listen, here's a check, take it. And when they tell you the amount, put the amount in. But could you imagine how many of you would sign a check and leave the amount open, but it's a signed check? How many of you have ever messed up a check and you wrote void over it? Drop a V in the chat if you've ever written void on a check because you put the wrong date in or you misspelled something. And you voided it and you ripped off the signature and you did all of this stuff because you didn't want that check being cashed because it was a valid instrument. Do you realize that if you signed this and you were a person, a signator on the universe's bank? Think about this for just a second. We might be jumping ahead, but for those of you that know me, that's how my brain works. When you sign this check, when this check is signed, it says the universe. You have a blank check from the universe. You just need to fill out the specific sum. But see, even when we do that, we have this vagueness to it. So we're going to really dive into what that is all about. So what else is the check? Let's keep going. Checks are a form of a negotiable instrument. Doesn't say when you write out this check, you're not negotiating with yourself, but how many of you feel, drop an N in the chat if you ever feel that you're negotiating with yourself when you're going, is that too much? I don't know if is that too much? Is that not enough? I don't know if that's too much. I can't believe $1 million. That'd be ridiculous. This isn't a form of negotiation with you. This is a negotiation with the universe, with the God source, allowing, listen carefully, for the transfer. When you go and cash a check, how many of you have ever deposited a check? You never saw the cash, but it came out of there, it transferred from their account to your account. Some of you have said, deposit $100 and give me $50 in cash. It is a negotiable instrument that allows you to transfer from them, in this case, the universe, to you. I really need you to ask yourself this question. Do you honestly believe that everything that you've ever wanted, anything that you want from the future, do you honestly believe, drop an H in the chat if you honestly believe it's available in the future from the universe? We know this. We know it's available. That comes back to this thing called our body. See, our brain doesn't limit our capability. It's our body that does. It's the software that we need to upgrade our brain to run. That would make it easier. That's called faith. That's called gratitude. Gratitude is a significant upgrade to the brain. The challenge is we haven't given our brain the hardware to run gratitude. Listen to that very carefully. We haven't given our brain the hardware upgrade to run the software of gratitude. We're going to get into that. So this is allowing you, a check is allowing you to transfer the money from one person to the other without having to carry the physical cash. Right? The thing that you want to go build, the idea, the house, the car, the condo, the pool in the backyard, all of that exists. And if you want a pool, you will transfer money from you to the contractors who will put it in. The challenge is they have an agreement with you that you will transfer to them. You haven't made an agreement with the universe for it to transfer to you. You have this idea that I got to work harder, I got to do this more, and I got to do. You know what happens if you keep doing and doing and doing? You get doo-doo all over you and all over the place. So why did checks come into existence? Safety and convenience. More convenient way than transferring large sums of money. This is a convenience thing. All right? So that's why checks came about. For record keeping. How many of you have a challenge balancing your checkbook? How many of you, because of technology, you never even balance it anymore? You may look at it when if it goes over in overdraft or gets real low. But I just found I have a software that I use. And I saw that in December, I got charged twice. Listen carefully. On me, I got charged twice. And I said, hey, did I get charged twice? And they went back and looked for the last 6 months, and I was charged twice every month. That was a tune of almost $1,200 extra I was charged. And they were very kind, and they gave all of those extra charges back from 6 months up till now. So maybe checks would be better to keep records. I can tell you this, when you go to manifest your dreams, carrying a check, holding a check, having a check you can look at is going to be significantly valuable. A credit system foundation. See, if you write this check and you start to act, you do what Napoleon Hill says, act as if, right? You use your definite major purpose, honor before this date, I will receive this amount in this check, and it's for in the memo. We're going to talk about the memo in just a moment, what it's all for, but you have credit. How much is your credit with the universe? We have lines of credit at the bank, right? Think about that. Some of you have lines of credit you're currently using. It's based upon equity. So here's the thing. This is a credit system. What's the word? Somebody type it in the chat. I know it. What's the word when you want to go get a loan from the bank? They want to know if you have any of this. What's the word? Oh, and by the way, while we're talking, if you get some value out of this conversation, just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can shout out bonus time. If you think this event has been worth your time so far, that if the event ended now, you got your money's worth, you got some significant breakthroughs, ahas, just shout out bonus time. What they're looking for is collateral, right? So they're looking for collateral. So my question to you, when you go to write your check to the universe, when you write your magic check, what is the system of credit that allows you to have the collateral to go receive your money? See, all too often, we don't think we have the collateral to receive our money. Now, this is a way over the top conversation about a magical check. but drop an S if it's starting to make a little bit more sense. See, the collateral that you have, the system of credit that you have created, the collateral you have is called your life experience. And you want to know what the biggest collateral is? Anyone want to type it in the chat? Listen carefully. I'm going to give you the options. I'll give you the choices. Here's the choices to pick from. The collateral you have, is it the successes you have or the failures you've experienced? How many of you think you are overqualified? How many of you drop an OQ in the chat if you're overqualified for any amount you have? It is based upon your failures. And if that was the case, then don't you feel better already about getting your pound back, getting your flesh back, getting your success back? I have failed my butt off. I am overqualified. I can write a check for $10 million. See, you're thinking you had to have all of the validations. You're thinking when you write this check out the way your mind works. I could be wrong. I might not be, but I could be. The way your mind works, it says, I have to know how to create $1 million, how to create $500,000. When you've already failed enough, how many of you feel you've lost a significant amount of money because of some of the failures you've had in your life? So I just want you to know, this is a Wayne Dyer moment. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So let's apply this to the Magic Check Challenge. Understanding the historical and practical significance of the check enhances the symbolic power of the check. This isn't a check I'm writing for all of my successes. This is saying I'm qualified as heck because of my struggles. If that's the case, think about this from a business standpoint, those of you in the powerful profession of network marketing. What if we were able to, over the course of this challenge, create the dialogue that would allow somebody, listen carefully, that would allow somebody to fully understand as you sit across from them and talk about your business opportunity, that they are more than qualified to receive the success that comes from your business model. They may not know how to transfer funds or do trading or understand credit or cash back. They may not understand any of that. But do you think they understand that they've suffered? And see, we think that's the third rail. In the subway systems in New York, there's the two rails that the track run on, then there's the third rail, and they say never touch the third rail. The third rail is the electricity that runs. It runs right through the rail of the track, and the wheel that sits on that track powers the entire subway system. So when we talk about people who have suffered, we don't want to bring it up. We tell them, you could do great. You would be doing this. See, in the context of this challenge, the symbolic power of the magical check, the magic check, it represents not just a transactional tool, but a commitment or a promise. And in this case, a promise to oneself. Does this make sense? I really want you to listen to that. I really want you to understand that when you write this out, this is a commitment, a promise to yourself to be able to reach your own potential. And by filling it out, you engage in this powerful act of setting intentions and visualizing financial goals and your aspirations. Isn't that kind of cool? See, it's not just filling it out and going, I did it, I did it. See, are you checking this box for strategy? Or are you checking this box for state? This isn't a strategy. Writing out this check is not, let me repeat it again, is not a strategy. It is a tool to put you into state. And until it does what Napoleon Hill talks about in chapter 1, desire fires your desires up, gets you on fire, white hot burning desire. You can write out 1,001 checks and it won't work. You're using something in the medical world called a nocebo. We've heard of placebo. I can give you a sugar pill and it'll cure you of the wildest, craziest things better than morphine. You have a chemical in your brain that is more powerful than morphine. It's why placebos work. You also have something called a nocebo. I can give you the check, I can give you this training, and you can say, I went to Sean's training and I went through all 4 days of it, and I'll be darned, I did my story, I did my dream board, I did all of these things, and it didn't work. How many of you know somebody, if you gave them the winning lottery numbers, they would screw it up? So, this exercise taps into the historical use as a promise of payment that extends into the realm of both personal commitment and manifestation. So, following this foundational understanding of the Magical Check Challenge, we can now dive into the law of attraction, the visualization, and the power of setting intentions. I'm going to ask you. You probably know about the Magical Check. If this seems like it's new content around something you thought you already knew, drop an N in the chat. I'm just curious. If you think this is some new content on something you thought I know the Magical Check. I've done the Magical Check. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. That stuff doesn't work for me. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that you're not working it. So let's talk about the memo. One of the most powerful parts of this, and I don't know that everybody uses it, but why do I need to use the memo? And the memo is that little line right here, but I'm going to show you how when you have it on a piece of paper like this, you can use the whole white of the paper in the back as your memo. Let's talk about what the memo is for. It's for record keeping. Your Magical Check might be for one item. You can write it out for one item. What I am going to encourage you, and what my bride and I teach in her manifestation classes that I get to sit in, what we teach is start out with something that's believable. It could be, I am manifesting a check for money to come easily and effortlessly to pay one of my credit card bills down, not off, down. I have a minimum payment of $185. I would like an additional $185 to flow into my life in such a way that it allows me to know I had nothing to do with it. It was simply the universe cashing the check I asked it for. We'll get into that tomorrow. So it's about a reference. A memo line can be not used to note the reason for the payment. Why is the universe paying you? Remember, we talk all the time about the why in network marketing. What's your why? This is a good place where you need to understand what your why can do for you. Does that make sense? It's a reason for the payment. This helps both the payer and the payee remember what the payment is for. How many of you would look at your check? Listen carefully. How many of you, if you said, I want $1,000 today, you said, I want $1,000 today, by the end of tomorrow, what you were going to spend that $1,000 on could change. Drop a C in the chat. Follow me? I want $1,000. Today it's Thursday, I want $1,000. And by the end of Friday, when the money comes in Friday afternoon, go, oh my God, I got to spend it on that. But if you write out a check for the payment of, I had to write out a check for sheep feed, $14.92. I wrote it out, $14.92 to Robert's Feed Store. Now, it was $14.92. My sheep didn't have any food. If I came home with a foot scrubbing brush that was $13, I not only paid too much for it, but I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get what I needed to feed my sheep. Do you know what you need money for? To feed your dreams. You need to have money coming in all the time to feed your dreams. You need to have money coming in all the time to keep your promises. You need to have money coming in to show that you are valuable to yourself. All of those are true statements, aren't they? So this is why we need to use the memo and understand the power that's inside of the memo. It's for clarification. It's to clarify the intent or the conditions. For instance, how many of you have ever written a specific invoice number? Or you wrote your account number if it was an insurance payment. It says, please put the account number in the memo, because you're sending in check to Mutual of Omaha or MetLife for $285. They don't, oh my God, I got to go look them up. I got to go find out who they are. Suppose it's my insurance premium that they're paying, but Michelle sends in a Michelle Murphy check. It says Sean, Michelle, Mason Murphy, Sean Murphy, but it's kind of, they're going, who's Michelle Murphy? She signs it, Michelle Murphy. How do they know it's from my account? Starting to see why we need, this is kind of like your DMP. It needs to have some detail, right? A little apple magic ketone for my brain. Keep it going. It's for communication. Sometimes the memo line is used to give instructions, important information for the recipient or the bank. For example, writing for deposit only. How many of you have ever written for deposit only? What if in the memo you wrote for your name only, for Sean only? It's all coming to me, but I have listed out, and I'm going to teach you how we did this and how we do this, and it manifests so much faster. But it's important to understand it's not just the check and going, I don't know, throw a dart. I want $150,000. It'd be nice to have $150,000. I think every one of us would be a little bit more pleasantly surprised if we got 150K. But between these two checks, it's $1 million. Mine and Michelle's. I didn't think it was going to be that much, because as we line itemed out each one, they didn't seem like that big of a deal. But when you need to go buy them all together, part of this is so that the universe knows that it can send you, listen, I don't have, how many of you have ever made a partial payment? Drop a PP in the chat. Did he just say PP? If you've ever made a partial payment, I see some of you have a PP. So if you've ever done a partial payment, it's because you didn't have all the money. Sometimes the universe has got to take some time to bring you the instant success. Sometimes it doesn't want to bring it all to you, because it would be too fast. For clarification, you can write for happy birthday, reference numbers, a personal message. It's for legal evidence. The memo can serve as a legal reference. How many of you know this? How many of you know, and it's kind of a, if you had two payments on a, let's say you had to make 3 payments of $100 each. Do you realize that on the final payment, you put final payment or paid in total? Do you know if you put that on the first one, if they cashed it, it's legally binding that the account is closed? I'm not suggesting you do that to cheat somebody out of money. But if you've ever written on the third payment, final payment, paid in full, that's a legal documentation that if they cash that, they are cashing and agreeing that it is paid in full. So maybe on yours, you put paid in full on your magical check. Official documentation, right, for bookkeeping and auditing purposes. When applying this to the magical check challenge, the memo line can take on a more symbolic role, and it can be used to reinforce intentions. Write down specific goals of the purpose of the manifested amount, reinforcing the intent behind the visualization. How about for enhancing the visualization? To enhance visualizing, seeing the number, seeing the different line items, right? So if I look at my line items here, if I read you off some of the line items that I have on my check, it's to build a barn, to build my sound studio, to get sound tech tools, to get a tune-up for our tractor, to build the second story on top of the barn, to have a bunk room and some reading areas, a library. It's to install power for the camping outlets and the RV stations. It's for the septic tanks, for the RV stations, and for the barn. It's for the tree house that I want to build, that I want to have people to be able to stay in when they come to the ranch for events. Now, could I write out a magical check for each of those? Yes. In my manifestation, in my definite major purpose, then I would have to identify each of those. But if I add all that up, I get a big number. And now my big number says, I can say, here's my amount, $400,000. That's the money that I want. That's the money the universe is agreeing to give to me when I write the check. Do you understand that? When I write the check and the universe has signed it, they are agreeing. This is a contract. They are agreeing to give it to me. Having the check with the visualization and the memos listed, I can instantly see all of the things on the memo, because if I say it every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, it becomes memorized. Now I just say magical check, and all of that stuff is repeated at a subconscious level. So let me ask you, are you ready? Welcome to your future. Does this make sense? So, real quick, I don't want to go over long. I'll stay a little bit longer for those of you that want. But what's the thing you learned? What's the lesson you got out of this? What's your takeaway? Look at your notes. What'd you learn? What'd you like? What's your takeaway? Today's session is going to get wrapped up. This is wrapping up today's session. But I wanted to go into that detail because this isn't just, well, tell me how to write the check. How many of you said that? Tell me how to write the check. I want to write the check. Tell me how to write the check. But we needed to understand the value, the absolute sheer magical value of the check. Hey, Christina, go ahead, Christina.
Hey, Sean, this was awesome. And while you were talking about it and talking about
Hang on, is it me or can you guys hear her? You can hear? Okay, hang on. What's going on here? Hold on, please. Oh, yeah, it was going in my headphones. Okay, go ahead, Christina.
Hi, Sean. So I really liked what you said about the details. As I was looking on my wall at my magical check that I wrote on 11/11/22, I just realized it didn't have a memo line. So that's a clue. And I really loved how you stated to have the reinforcing intentions and to enhance visualization. And again, that small detail, I just needed to hear that detail, the memo line. So important, especially when you made the association with sending a check for an insurance policy. I totally was able to picture it, right? You need to be detailed. So thank you.
You're welcome. And so tomorrow we'll go into how to put the line items, right? How to create your own, the multiple lines of memo, right? It's simply writing them out, but putting them in detail. And that's some of the stuff we'll go through tomorrow. And tomorrow you'll be able to write the check. Tomorrow you'll be able to write the check and have a full understanding of the benefit of it. And you will feel absolutely engaged and it becomes a part of you at a level, hopefully at a level it's never been before. I know it'll be at a level that you've never experienced before, but I believe tomorrow, when we get done with tomorrow's session, it'll be at a level that you've never experienced before. And that's my goal. That's my desire. And then next week, the challenge is, and for those of you that have already paid the $47 for this recordings, here's my value add to you. Next week's are included. And if you decide next week you want to get the recordings, we'll include this week's as well. So you're actually getting 2 sessions of content. Why? Because this is one of those things that until we really understand it, it is so simple that we all have, it's kind of like chicken soup. How many of you understand chicken soup? How many of you have eaten chicken soup and it's a different chicken soup when you go to somebody else's house? Right? I went to beef stew. I had beef vegetable soup at my new friend's house. But you know what the beef was? It was sheep. It was lamb, which is good. It was awesome. It was delicious. I went, this doesn't taste like regular beef. They go, no, because it's lamb. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, then this isn't beef stew. It's lamb stew. But they don't want to say that anyway. So, hey, Sharon, good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning. So I've been having an intense morning anyway, up until now. And so this has been really what I was thinking, okay, what are the big takeaways from this? because of course we've heard the words before, but thinking about it as a symbolic contract with the universe is really powerful, and looking at symbols, because I have a tendency in the past to say, oh yeah, been there, done that, haven't had, so for me to really get that clear intention and recognize that I'm in a conversation and relationship with the universe, as opposed to, a lot of people say you should order, and it's like, that doesn't feel comfortable to me, to be ordering the universe, because the universe already given it to me. I know that. So this is really powerful. And the other question that came up that I raised my hand for was, one of the big things I've been working on for the last few months is noticing the ants that I have and not buying into
For those
them.
that don't know what ants are, she doesn't have ants in her pants. She has automatic negative thoughts.
Automatic negative thought. But what I'm also noticing is, along with them, that place that's like second guessing and questioning, am I doing this right, kind of thing all the time, and competing intentions. Because if I make a clear intention and then I don't manifest it, chances are I have another competing intention that I'm not being conscious about. So does that make sense, Sean, what I'm asking?
Absolutely. So here's what you want to do. Use the Ben Franklin method. Give them a number. Give them a letter. It doesn't have to be alphabetical, doesn't have to be numerical, meaning like if this is one that's 2, you could say, I'm going to work on 2 today. And when the competing intention comes up, say, well, let me just check in. Is 2 more important than 3 right now, or is 3 more important than 2? And am I letting 3 become more important because I don't want to really do number 2? It's annoying, it's aggravating, and it's no more fun. Or do I push through and get 2 done so that I can have the joy with 3? You have to have the dialogue, because otherwise the competing intentions, that's just simply a pattern. That is a frequency that you allow yourself to get into. That is a pattern that when you start to get established on something, the old story goes, I think we need to throw a wrench in the work now, don't you?
You're so right, John.
and you're like, son of a biscuit, I'm doing good. I'm loving life. I'm having success. Why does this keep coming up? Because you're refusing to recognize the pattern. And it's not that you refuse. It's just when I said it, you're like, oh my God, that's exactly it. But how many of us have ever hid when our friends were getting in trouble? We're like, I'm getting out of here. I don't want to be in trouble. Let me hide. And so we hide from our patterns.
And part of what's been going on is becoming more and more aware of these patterns and clearing them, and to do it with love and compassion.
So what's the 4 words you need to say? And I love
it.
And literally, and I don't care if you have to say that for a minute. And I love that. Wow. Oh man, that hurt. And I love that. And all of a sudden you start to see how fast the attacks come. And these attacks show up, and you're like, I'm just not going to do anything. And you wind up and you go lean hard against the wall. Excessive pressure. Now I got to fix the hole. Screw all of the other thoughts I had. Now I delayed myself with something totally that didn't even need to be. Right? How many times here? So here's the thing. You're going to events. You're driving to events. You write your magical check for $22 million that you need for the Institute, and you need for this, and you need for that, and it freaks people out. $22 million check. Is she on crack? Yeah, she's on the crack that says, I'm going to step into my future. I'm stepping over the crack into my future that requires this, and I'm going to be on cruises with Dispenza and all of these people and blah, 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 blah. But I bet you get in the car and go, I'm out of gas. I'm not going.
Well, I do realize that I've been talking about this institute for umpteen years, and inside me there is, I kind of gave up. I gave up on it, and
Write a check for it.
I
You
didn't
listen.
give up on it
the
because
uni-
of the money. I gave up on it because of the me.
Right. Well, write a check for it. The universe. Listen, the universe has already given you the blank check. It says right there, the universe. And it's hard. I can promise you, when I wrote this out, I'm used to big numbers, but I'm not used to big numbers for me.
Yeah, that's the challenge. It's like to write it out for me.
So when I wrote this out and I wrote out this check, this is me just being totally clear. It says $432,000. And that's one check for one small portion of the property. As I go through this, I'll probably need 4 or 5 more of these. My point is that it wasn't hard to write out a $20,000 check for the barn and a $50,000 check for the second story in my studio and $1,000 for this tractor and $1,000 for the sound tech tools, some of the tech tools, $75,000 for the treehouse. Those aren't hard numbers to write out. You add them all up. And then I realized, and the reason I got nervous is because I had to write the check. I'm like, holy crap, do I have to go? I'm not writing the check to me. I'm telling them, you owe me, you son of a universe. You owe it to me. I failed enough that I am qualified to know what to do with that. I've written out in the memos exactly what, and I'm telling you, universe, what I'm going to do with it, because the universe says, I can give you anything you want. As a matter of fact, I gave you the angst you had when you wanted to write the check out and you got nervous. I gave you that because you asked for it. So this is a Wayne Dyer moment. Change the way we look at things, and the things we look at change, and it's a Steve Waddles moment. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. And I can tell you, in the 72 hours since we wrote those out on the 1st, there's some big wheels that have started turning. Big wheels that have started turning. Almost that it's like, oh, we need to go throw a stone under that. So be aware. This is powerful stuff. Let's go to Serbia. Thank you, Sharon. Let's go to Serbia.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How's it going?
Good. Havala.
Good. You know what? Ever since you mentioned the memo thing and how deeply it goes, it was bonus time for me because my mind just went back on December 30th on Saturday when we had the paralyzing conversation, right? And oh, hey there, RC. Hey there. I remember a couple of years ago, I used to carry a card with me that said, I'm so happy and thankful that I'm making 10 grand a month now. And it did not happen, right? And I realize right now why. Because as it says here, writing out this check, it's not a strategy, it's to put you in the state. So guess what? I wasn't in the state, right? So, shocking, right? So I remember afterwards, I actually threw the card out. I threw it into the garbage, and a couple months later, I made the 10 Gs. I did not have the card, but I was in the state, obviously. So for me, that was the bonus time. I just went back to December 30th when we had the conversation, and I realized that the number doesn't really matter. I mean, nothing matters that much as the memo. Because when I figure out I need this and that for this and that, and I need that for this and so on, it's just gonna work because it's gonna put me in the state. So thank you.
You're welcome, brother. I appreciate it. And here, you want to know the funny thing is you said something and sometimes it sounds like a throwaway comment. I threw away the card and everybody went, oh, I could hear him go, oh my God, you threw away your card. But what did you say next? I then made the 10 grand.
Yeah.
Because you now allowed it to become versus going, it's not happening. I'm looking at it, I'm reading it, it's not happening. As soon as you threw away how you thought it should happen, Because it happened completely different than you thought.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Absolutely.
And
It
that's
actually,
the point, Skipper.
yeah,
It's
happened.
never going to be the way you think it is. Because if it's the way you think it was, you should have had it already. And you're driving yourself nuts.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened. I was driving myself nuts, and it just, one day I just decided to, okay, you know what? How will a man that makes 10 G's, how does he behave? What does he do? Is he a schmuck, or is he somebody who says hello and says thank you and opens the door? And is he a classy gentleman, or is he just a piece of garbage, or whatever?
Well, and the
So
reason that it shifted is because you went out of strategy and into state.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Ta-da!
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome,
Ta-da.
welcome, welcome.
All right.
So let's go from cold to as colder, and Minnesota. Hello, Swally.
Hello. So the thing I learned, I might be the only one on the call. I've never heard of the magical check. This is new to me. I've never done it, never heard of it.
So do
So-
this.
What am I doing?
Push off the rock.
There it went. And I absolutely love what I wrote first. Oh, well, thanks, Heather.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, we do. So what I loved, I wrote the potential this brings, and then I crossed that out because that didn't quite sit right. I love the opening I'm starting to feel about my future. That sounds kind of corny.
No, but who does it sound corny to? Drop a C in the chat if it sounds corny to any of you. It doesn't sound corny to any of us.
It sounded corny to me.
It does, because your old story's still listening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue. Listen, for those of you that are listening, and why I keep jumping in on Amber. Amber is part of our inner circle, and she's kind of given me permission to do this. And I probably should
Kinda. Of course.
Go ahead.
I've been amazed through that opening that I'm feeling, that it's within the confines of a check.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to list the memo, right? So there's a boundary, there's a platform, there's a pattern that we do, and how that can open things up. So I don't know exactly what all of that means. I'm really excited for the next 3 days to figure it out.
I love
Have
it.
it shown to me. Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Thank you. Love it. Who else? Thoughts, oh, we got, there's Christina.
Hey, Sean, I just went back to my notes, and as a financial advisor, it was mind-boggling when you said that it's not for narrow realists who are solely focused on traditional financial planning without any interest in mental and emotional aspects. Can you elaborate on that, please?
So, how do you create income? What's the one thing we as networkers want to poke at the people who have jobs? What's the thing we always say to them? Are you trading
Time for money.
Yeah. See, that's how we think we have to earn an income. That's how we think, in order for my $432,000 to come in, based upon my current run rate, I'm going to have to work 10 hours a day for 100 days. That's a traditionalist's narrow focus of how money comes in. So let's go back to Myron Golden's 4 methodologies of income. What are the 4 methodologies? Anybody remember them? Number 1, using your hands, manipulation. The minimum wage worker. Got to stand on your feet, answer the questions. Do you like fries with that? Is this your first time shopping with us? All of these things. So manipulation. That you can probably get to 80 grand a year. That's the high end. 50% of the population who live, or 30% of the population who live in the United States live under poverty, which is $26,000 a year, $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month. So that's manipulation. The next one is coordination. You coordinate the manipulators. You're the boss. You're the manager at McDonald's who can make upwards of 100 grand. That's a high-end job, 100 grand. But it's still not, listen, just drop a 1 in the chat if your check if you want your check to be more than $100,000. Do you realize you can't be a coordinator if you're the narrow-minded focus that you are going to either trade time for money or manage those who are trading time for money? It's a snowball's chance in Haiti that you're going to reach the 100K plus of additional income because your day is already packed. So now we take a huge jump from manipulator, coordinator. We take a big jump to communication, which is what you did when you started selling your courses. You communicated it. When you have and you do your work, you communicate this. And if you get paid leverage right now, I'm in communication. But I've also leveraged the next one. So communication is actors. Do you think actors make more than your check that you want to write? Right? Jim Carrey's check that he wrote out for $10 million when he got Ace Ventura, Pet Detective series. So that's communication. Authors, John Grisham, think of all of the authors that you think. Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill. That's communication. Then, anybody ever see Avatar or the other one with the water, right? The one that's with the water now, $1 billion, and there's other $1 billion movies. That's the next one. So manipulation, coordination, big jump to communication. And the top one, imagination. Aren't you needing to absolutely step into the realm of imagination when you write a magical check? So this is when we say this is not for the traditional realists who are narrowly minded that I have to trade time for money. Because there's no way, if you make $40,000 a year, let's say you make $80,000 a year, not a bad income. You're scraping by paycheck to paycheck probably, but you decide, you know what, I'm going to go write $100,000 check. Your brain goes, and it turns off. You're like, how am I going to work? I'm already working 2 shifts. How am I going to go make another 100 grand if I'm trading time for money? Maybe I'll become a boss. I'm not smart enough. I don't have an education. I never finished high school. And you talk yourself out of it because we really need to jump to communication and imagination. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Bonus time.
Bonus time. See, when you were selling stocks and bonds and doing the trading, AJ, you were giving people, you were doing it through communication, but you were venturing into imagination, showing them what a possibility and potential.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, nobody could give a rat's ass about the stock and Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they only wanted the car, the freshly new facade on the house, the new dog, the new boat, the new this and that. So absolutely, yes, sir. That's right.
So this is where but the challenge is when we go to write our own magical check, we go right into manipulation. I have to do it. There's no way I'm going to do this. I don't want to work that hard, but I will work that hard in sharpening my mind and my dreaming, law of attraction, meditation, breathing. We have to give ourselves space and time. I love it, love it, love it. What a cool way to spell Jennifer. I hope it's pronounced that way with a G. That is awesome. I love it. And I apologize that I don't apologize, but I feel I want to apologize for all of the people when you say Jennifer with a G, they're like, what? So thank you. That's a cool way. Who else is here? Let's see. I think I saw Quan here and some different folks. RC in the house. Good to see you. Talina, how are you, my love?
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Quan, how are you, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, sir. Doing wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for your note. What a blessing to receive that note. And congratulations on all your continued success.
Thank you so much. Administrator is my next step, so I'll keep you informed.
I love it. You already got it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I know we went a little over, I hope you're okay with that. You guys are asking questions. I know you guys are used to, it takes me an hour to clear my throat. So I kind of got through a lot of good stuff here quickly. So anyone else, any last thoughts, comments, questions? Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Tomorrow we'll actually go into creating our memos. Okay. And then I'll tell you what to anticipate for next Thursday, Friday. Some of you are going to whine and moan like a third grader that you got homework, right? We never had homework and now you're going to have homework. So you will have success work. So, and I may do some evening calls that you guys can jump on to do some Q&A for those of you that have come. They're not, I don't want to say they're not open to the general public. They are, but they're open to you because my goal is to take care of you. My goal is to serve you. Yes, I want to build a huge list, but I want to go teach the teachers. I want to go build with you so that you can go finally build your dream. So when I do the evening calls, they will probably most likely be completely around the challenges so that you can take them to the next level. And if that's okay, that's what we'll do there. Any last thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways, ahas?
I'm realizing I'm feeling very emotional about this, and I'm not comfortable, and I'm
Okay.
and I love that. It's the only way.
Well, a couple of things are happening, Sharon. And so this is what's downloading to me and through me right now. You're getting into your stride. And everything you've done up to this moment is fall off a log. It is. You talking to people, not hard. You leading people, going to events, not hard. None of this is hard stuff. It's the next level that's got you bejeebies scared. And the bejeebies scared is that you think here's where this simple phrase hopefully will give you some release. Be responsible to them, not for them. And so when you learn becoming responsible to them, you will ask them more questions. So I don't want you to become the instructor anymore. I want you to become the inquisitor. You no longer have to tell them what to do. Ask them, hey, listen, what 2 things would you like to do? I can help you if you give me the 2 things. Right? You've come onto the morning calls where I go, guys, I got nothing. I got 50 years of experience and I got nothing. Somebody throw out a word, somebody give me a topic of what to do. And you throw out a word and a topic and we go for 2 hours. I constantly am coming up in the morning meditations. I really like it because I need to come up with the material. Now, the universe brings it to me, but I ask, give me something. And I don't think I know, I need to already know it. It's something I don't know. So I say, give it to me. What I'm going to encourage you is to have a conversation and ask everybody, what can I help you with this week? Instead of saying, you should do this. Did you follow up with that? Did you do these calls? Did you get that done? Did you blah, blah, blah? We got a promotion going on. You guys got to get the promotion. And you're winding everybody up for the promotion. Saying, listen, raise your hand if you'd like help reaching the promotion. I could help you, but there's no reason for me to help you if you haven't raised your hand. So raise your hand if you want the promotion. And you can then work with them.
It came to me yesterday. There was somebody who was to sign up with me because, you know, I'm attractive in that way, and I realized this has no network marketing experience. It has no awareness of the time it would take. He has no Facebook. I mean, I don't know anything about the skills he's bringing in, and I don't want to enroll him unless he qualifies himself better. And because it doesn't feel good to just enroll, you know, but more than that, underneath all this, Sean, is hearing, as I become more aware, I'm becoming more aware of neuro-encoded messages that instead of wanting to unravel them, I need to love them and choose to respond to them differently because the messages are there.
So ask any, and this is for everybody. Sharon's given you a thing that many of you probably feel that way, but haven't said it. So here's one of the things that I have become wildly successful at is asking some very basic fundamental questions that serve me. Very self-full, not selfish, self-full. So when something comes up, say distraction or direction. Simple. Distraction or direction. And I only have those two choices. Now, well, I don't want to make them feel bad, or I don't. When you write your magical listen, here's what's going to happen. When you write your magical checkout, you are going to get your tuchus kicked left, right, and center because you have changed your identity. How many of you, listen carefully, how many of you, and I know we're still going, and if you need to go, go ahead, go. I'm okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings much. But if you need to go, go ahead. But here's my point. How many of you, if you got your check tomorrow, you would have to take on a new identity? If you got the check you wanted, because here's the thing. If everybody found out you had the check you got, do you think they'd be asking you for some spare change? Do you have some spare change? Get a hamburger from you? How many of you would have friends that would become wimpy? Hamburger today, and I'll gladly play you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. So this idea, the reason that the gestation period of a goal takes so long is because that's how long it takes us to change our identity.
Unless we do it in a heartbeat.
We can do it as fast as we want. And usually that's emotional in state. How does somebody go from smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day to stopping cold turkey because they had a heart attack or because their grandbaby came up to them that they absolutely love, right? The grandbaby's named after them and they go, Mima, don't die. Stop smoking cigarettes. And you go, okay. And you get a switch that kicks on in your brain. Amber can tell you about this in Psyche. You get this chemical that goes shoop, and you have this new emotional state, and you no longer have, you don't even think about the old story. You see, I had to program this new family of friends of mine because every time we sit down to eat, they go, what do you want? We got Sprite, we got Coke, we got this. I go, water. They go, okay. And now, the second time they asked me, listen, the drinks are outside, you can get them. And I went, oh, that's right, you drink water. Now they just bring me water. And somebody who doesn't know me, say, when I'm going to go eat, they just made the spaghetti sauce and I'm putting their spaghetti sauce and I'm going, oh my God, this smells amazing. And I'm putting the noodles and I'm putting some spaghetti sauce and I'm putting some cheese on there. And they go, the drinks are outside. I go, no, water. And they go, I have to train all of them that I just drink water. Now, I will do espresso, and they know how to make the espresso that they make gorgeous for me with agave sweet in it and a double shot of espresso, and they bring it out, and they go, and I drink it, and they go, oh my God, wasn't that hot? I go, that's how you drink espresso. And they're constantly bombarding me with the patterns with which I live my life. But they're my patterns, and I'm not letting them undo them because I want to make them feel comfortable. They feel comfortable. They just now go, you want water? Get your ass up and get the water. Kind of cool, huh? You guys know I could be here till midnight, and I'm okay with that. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? I love doing this because I love watching your brains go. And you know what the smoke coming out your ear is? Isn't frustration. It's the rocket taking off.
Hey, young man, do you remember that time when we were on for 7 hours straight on Sunday?
Yes.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you one thing, and then we're gonna probably wrap up. But I've known you for almost 4 years now. It's gonna be 4 years in a few months, and until this day, I am still mind-boggled, still fascinated by your ability to scratch my back even when I don't ask for it. It's absolutely mind-boggling that I would think about something for an hour, a day, or a week, or whatever, and I would just show up and you would happen to talk about it. You would be just, talking about it. And not only that I am, as all of us here are, probably very selfish to scratch our back against you when we need something, more often than not, but the fact that you have this ability to help me, even when I don't ask for it, to know how I feel via a freaking thing in the computer that shows me a picture. That is fascinating. That's something else. And I just want to thank you for that. So thank you.
You are welcome, my brother. I appreciate it. It's a joy. And here's the thing. It is a skill. It is a talent. It is a gift that every one of you have and can be developed. These are all developable talents. And you all have the skills. And you use them and you're like, oh my gosh, I knew the car was going to turn right. How many of you have been behind a car and go, oh, I knew it was going to turn right, or you left early? I was taking gas tanks, propane tanks up to the RV park to get them filled. And I know the guy, Todd, and I was supposed to stop at the store and go to the tax office and do some things. And I said, no, I'm going to go right to the thing. And as I pulled in, he came out, was going to get in his truck, saw me walk down. He says, I was just about to go to lunch. I'll fill these up for you. Saved me about 3 hours of having to be in town. Pay attention to those little skills. You get to work them. Yes, Amber, Swally, connect. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate you. Love you, brother.
My mind has been going and going and going since you said teaching people the patterns that I live my life by, and I won't let them unravel them to make them feel more comfortable. So I started going in the direction of what patterns do I have that I've adopted to make people feel comfortable? So I started going down that trail, and then I went, wait a minute. What patterns did I already let people unravel? Because that's the true me. That's who I am. So I've given myself success work. This is going to be really fun to go back and think, yeah, what were those patterns that I wanted? Okay, so I let people unravel them. Can't go back. Now I get to make a choice to have those patterns again. And as I have one of my 4 boys home today, not feeling well, now I get to teach my boys. Now I get to teach my boys how to not let people unravel their patterns and stand in their patterns and love their patterns. So thank you.
You're welcome. And here's the thing.
Bonus time.
In that and this is dad of 3, right? This is dad of 3. He's got amazing, beautiful daughters that are absolutely brilliant, that he is such a role model for. Here's the thing. When they try to unravel my pattern by wanting me to drink soda, they wanted to include me, right? They all grabbed one and they said, well, you're one of us. And I said, you know what? I love sodas. I've just chosen water would be great. And I made him feel good about giving me the water, having to switch up. See, and whenever anybody offers you something, a shift in pattern, it's because they want you to be a part of what they're doing. I can stand in my full pattern and still be a part of what you're doing and not make you feel any less because I chose to remove myself from the pattern you thought I should be in. And that's called self-esteem and self-worth. And that's called self-talk, and that's called neuroencoding, and that's called the NEST program. And imagine if we get our kids using the NEST program now, game over. No more battles, no more fights, no more delays, no more discussions, no more debilitating, I'm not enough. Because
if I may, Sean, it's game 1. Maybe not game over, it's game 1.
Yep. I love it. And here's another thing I want you up for those of you that are here. You're a lot of you are teachers and trainers in this powerful profession of the side gig world. I want you to look at where the biggest breakthroughs have come. None came during the presentation. Follow me. Ahas came, the ability to ask questions came, but if I ended this at noon, 90% of the success that's going to happen from this community happened after the presentation ended. So you have to give space for that, which is why I tell some people who are in the wellness world, end your trainings earlier, end your sessions earlier, so you can have the time to have the consumption of the experience. Does that make sense? Christina asked the question about the narrow realities, right? That was after it. Quan just got fired up when he watched Amber speak about what she just learned, and Amber was done talking. She usually has her question and she's done, and she's like, I'm just going to let everybody else go. I'm good. I asked my question. That's her old pattern. She broke her pattern. She got back to her old pattern going, I'm going to talk a little bit about me. I'm going to talk about my kids. And Quan's like, Quan doesn't know Amber and Amber doesn't know Quan, but I'm telling you, they're like connected at the hip right now. Because as you were speaking about your kids, he knows his daughters, and he's like, I need my daughters to have their pattern. My daughters are freaking rock stars, and they have been through hell in a handbasket, and I need to get them their patterns back. This is what happened. I'm going to start crying. This is what happens when we build a community that are operating and coordinated in concert, right? What they asked Carnegie, why do you deserve to be the richest man on the planet? He says, because I can teach people how to work in harmony. And that's what I'm getting better at, is teaching people how to work in harmony. On your own dreams, play your own flute, play your own oboe, play your own bazooka, bassinet, whatever it is, the big drums. But let's play it in harmony with each other and create that music. So love it, love it, love it. How does that feel, Swally? You can tell from her smile.
She's muted.
Are you muted, Amber? I can't tell you. I got the big screen on. Are you?
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
smiling.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Feels amazing.
Yep. All right, everybody. I love you tons. I'm your head brain scrambling brain. Anybody else? I'll just throw it out there. Love you too, Juan. Love you, brother. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for giving me your energy. Thank you for giving us your spirit and your joy. I can't wait for you all to learn the story of this man. You see him crying, right? This is a guy who's got this emotional state that when he continues to unlock and unload and let it out, the world's such a better place with him in it. My world is a better place with him in it. So let's go have some fun. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling, magic check writing misfit. I'll see y'all where?
At the next event.
At the next
Next
event.
event.
All right, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Same bad time. If you want to join us in the morning, you can come on to the same dashboard you came to, and you can click on the morning call. We'll see you there. Love you tons. Bye for now.